Sunday afternoon. I'm just finishing a pretty big weekend of training. I actually did an identical weekend of this in the lead up to the indoor Ironman, and I distinctly remember thinking during the indoor Ironman that I felt really confident I could cover the distance because I'd done this training weekend. So let's have a look at it.
Take it to the limit, baby, take it to the limit. Take it to the limit, baby, take it to the limit. Take it to the limit, baby, take it to the limit. Take it to the limit, baby, take it to the limit.
So the first workout of the weekend is 10 400s on relatively short rest, so about 30 seconds.
Jane Fonda, Maya Angelou, push the fucking envelope, I do it how I wanna do.
From there, straight into a 7-hour ride. Now the objective with the ride is to keep it all aerobic throughout. Not really even looking at power here, it's just a good aerobic 7-hour ride.
Take it to the limit, baby, take it to the limit. Take it to the limit, baby, take it to the limit.
1 hour in, 2nd hour in now, 3 hours in now, 4 hours in. All right, that's 5 hours, 6 hours in, 7 hours done. Time for a 1 hour run.
I'm the enemy, yeah, I'm a bitch.
Straight off the bike into a 1 hour aerobic run. So Saturday's a 9-hour day and it's all aerobic. So all I'm trying to do here is build a huge aerobic base and get my body conditioned to going for 9 hours. Sunday morning, we're straight into a long run and this one's 32 kilometers or 20 miles. Sunday lunch, we've just got 1 hour easy on the bike. All right, 1 to go. And we finish out the weekend with a 45-minute easy run. So over the entire weekend, we swim about 4 kilometers, we spend about 8 hours on the bike, and we run about 40 kilometers. So with that, you're covering over the distance of an Ironman, and more specifically, you're also covering over the calories that you would burn during an Ironman. And I think that's one of the key things here with a weekend like this, is I'm getting my body conditioned to the energy expenditure that it requires to do an Ironman. And I do distinctly remember during the indoor Ironman, at about 20 to 30 kilometers into the run, I just thought back onto an identical weekend of training I'd done a few weeks before that indoor Ironman. Looked just like this, and I thought that weekend of training that I did really made me confident that as soon as I locked into that Ironman pace, that I could just go all day. I knew my body was really conditioned to covering the distance of an Ironman. And so I think weekends like this, where there's not really any intensity at all, but you are just really honing into that longer aerobic stuff, covering over the expenditure you would use in an Ironman, I think is the best way, really, for me at least, to condition myself to covering an Ironman distance. So looking at the week leading up to this, just for context, Monday morning starts out with a swim. This was planned as 4K, but I cut it short at 2.2 kilometers just because I was actually feeling a bit fatigued. And then Monday afternoon, it's just a 90-minute easy ride. Tuesday morning in the water for 15 200s, taking plenty of rest between these, so like 45 seconds to a minute between each, and really just using that as a chance to refocus on technique. So every 200 I do here, I really want it to be good technique, and taking a longer rest in between is enough for me to sort of pause and reflect and then think about what I'm going to work on for the next 200. So a really good set there. It's actually what I'm really enjoying on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, is to really hone into that technique focus. Alright, Tuesday lunch, and today we've got 2 by 25 minutes, aiming for 225 watts, although I'm going to leave erg mode off and just do it to feel. So maybe let's say 2 by 25 minutes at Ironman effort. Alright, 2 by 25 minutes at Ironman effort. Let's do it. That's one done. Two done. Just the track session Saturday now. So the track session on Tuesday afternoon is 3 by 3 kilometers with 2 minutes rest in between, and I'm doing those at about 4 minutes per kilometer pace. So this is like that medium effort. Think of it as maybe like a 70.3 effort. Wednesday morning in the pool, the main set for this one's 3 by 300, 3 by 100, 3 by 300, 3 by 100. Wednesday afternoon, 3 rounds of 8 minutes at Ironman Power, 4 minutes at LT2, back into 8 minutes at Ironman Power. So what I'm really hoping to see here is to see my lactate values drop back down to around 2 millimole at the end of each rep, and that just means that I'm processing the lactate pretty well after those LT2 efforts. So nothing too hard this afternoon, just some good Ironman specific stuff. Alright, so before we get into it, 5 by 30 seconds at 350 watts. Ooh. Alright, now we've just got the Ironman efforts.
Wait, is that around the right way? No, I had it upside down.
So that's a bit higher than I'd really like it, but do the other 2 reps and we'll see where it goes. Alright, round 2, let's see how I fare this time, knowing that I haven't done the 5 by 30 seconds at 340 watts beforehand. Hopefully my lactate's down a bit lower. Alright, round 2, let's see how this one goes. .4. So yeah, that's not too bad actually, 2.4. I mean, really I wanted it to be around 2, but hey, it's better than 3.1. At least it does show that I'm clearing that lactate a bit when I'm riding at Ironman Power. So not too bad, one more round to go. Alright, last one now. Alright, last one's done. Perceived effort was probably, I mean, it's a little bit higher than you'd want it to be for Ironman, but it is pretty hot in here today, so it's not too bad. So the lactate is. 2.4, all right, that's not too bad. I would ideally like it to be a smidge lower, but hey, I'll take that today considering the heat I'm in at the moment. So yeah, 85 Fahrenheit or 29 Celsius, so fairly warm in here today, so the fact that the lactate values are a bit higher than I'd really like isn't too bad. So yeah, pretty solid session. Really enjoying these sessions at the moment where they're very Ironman specific. You know, I'm spending time at that Ironman power and then slightly above. Considering now we're only, I think, like 8 or 9 weeks away, it's yeah, it's good to be spending some time really getting specific into the Ironman now. And you know, to be fair, like, it could be a good idea to do like a 70.3 phase or, you know, try and really work my top end, but in all honesty, I don't have any interest in getting in any shape other than Ironman shape. I mean, it's the only thing I really feel like working towards, and yeah, I'm just not interested in getting fast. I just want to get really good at Ironmans, because I think that's what's fun. I just love that feeling of locking into like that all day pace and riding it right on the limit. So that's what I'm training for at the moment, and I think that's what I'm going to train for all year. Quick cool down now, and then we're on to the next one. Thursday afternoon, and we've got 15k at Ironman effort. So there's about a 2k warm up and 2k cool down on either side, and then it's 15 kilometers at Ironman effort. And I'm looking at my power meter here, trying to hone into about 300 watts, because I think that's what I can hold for an Ironman. Friday morning, 10 400s in the pool. And Friday afternoon, we're just on the trainer doing 8 rounds of 8 minutes at a strength endurance effort at 245 watts. And then that takes us back to that big weekend of training. So the Monday after that big weekend of training, we're straight back in the pool that morning for a 4k non-stop swim. So it's 5.3 kilometers total with 4k non-stop as the main set. Monday afternoon, it's just a 1 hour easy ride. Tuesday morning, we've got 10 by 4.5 minutes at 220 watts, which is my target Ironman power. All right, Tuesday morning, and I kind of consider this like the start of the week really, because Monday morning we have a pretty long swim, but then the rest of the day is a recovery day. And then Tuesday morning we start to ease back into some training for the week. So coming off the back of a 28-hour last week, that means this week's not going to have as much intensity in it, but there's still going to be a fair bit of volume. So the first workout today is 10 by 4.5 minutes at Ironman power, just with 30 seconds rest. So it's not exactly a hard workout, but let's get into the week. All right, there's the first workout for the week done. So Tuesday afternoon, we're on the track, but I'm doing this one as a bit of a recovery session really. So this was 2 by 2 kilometers at 300 watts, which is going to be my target Ironman power. And I'm just taking lactate after these intervals to see what my lactate values are while I'm at 300 watts. Interestingly, and I don't know why this is, for some reason, consistently, my lactate values are about 1 millimole lower when I'm running versus when I'm on the bike. For me, Ironman effort on the bike is about 2 millimoles, but for some reason when I'm running, Ironman effort comes in at 1 millimole. I would put it down to user error if it was just a one-off, but consistently, every time I test lactate running or on the bike, there's about a 1 millimole difference for the same perceived effort. So I don't know why that is, but it's just an interesting observation. Wednesday morning's a 4.5 kilometer swim. We've got 4 200s, 8 50s, 4 400s, and 8 50s. So some longer intervals there, but throwing those 50s in there as well to get some, speed. All right, I've got a workout this afternoon, 2 hours on the bike, and it's designed to replicate basically the Ironman Australia course, which is a pretty hilly course. So there's a lot of LT2 efforts straight into some LT1 efforts, as well as some efforts like above threshold, just to replicate those really steep hills. So a bit of a weird one this afternoon, but still some pretty good quality. I mean, maybe it's like a bit of a threshold session, but I think it's also really focusing on like improving fatigue resistance, I suppose, in the legs. Going from those like LT2 or threshold efforts straight into that aerobic LT1 effort. So it's going to be a fun one. We're just about to start the first effort now. So we're going to go no erg mode on for this workout this afternoon. Because the power numbers don't need to be too specific, I don't really want to do lactate tests the whole time through, so
I'm more just going to do this one on perceived effort based on what LT1 and LT2 normally feels like. So I've got the power numbers up on the screen, but they're just going to be a guide really. Not exactly the most scientific way to do it, but it gets the job done.
Sit down on my knees. Tell you a story. It happened a long time ago. Little bitty pretty one. I've been watching you grow.
Alright, that's the VO2 stuff done. Good bit of sprint work, quick recovery, and then we're into the longer efforts. Alright, into some more Ironman specific stuff now. Some efforts above threshold coming up here. I'm going to do these ones out of the TT position because they're meant to replicate hills where I would be sitting up out of the TT position. That's it, workout's done. Just a quick cool down now, and then we're on to the next one.
Thursday morning, just a pretty easy 3K swim.
Alright, Thursday lunch, we'll just go a really quick moderate ride on the bike, probably just about 45 minutes.
Thursday afternoon, it's the same run as the week before, which is 15K at Ironman effort, aiming for about 300 watts. Even though it was really hot this afternoon, I still managed to hold a bit over 290 watts. So not too bad, but a little bit lower than I was aiming for. Friday morning's a 4.1K swim. Main set for that is 2 rounds of 600, 6x100 and 200. Friday afternoon, we've got some strength endurance work as well as some efforts just above Ironman power. So Saturday morning, we've got the long ride and there's some intensity in this one as well. So it's 2 rounds of 40 minutes and 2 rounds of 30 minutes at Ironman power. So aiming for about 220 watts. Ended up only averaging about 215, but look, it's close enough. There was just a quick run off the bike there. It was planned as 8 kilometers, but I just did 4 because it was, one, it was quite hot, but I was also fairly tired, if I'm being honest, that afternoon. Sunday morning, we've got the long run, but before that, I am throwing in that bike session now. So it's 1 hour on the bike with 12 minutes at LT2 and 12 minutes at Ironman power. I was out on the road, so it wasn't exactly at those values, but close enough. Then I went straight into the long run, but I was feeling really, I wasn't feeling tired. My legs were just feeling really fatigued, like my quads were quite sore. So I cut that run at 2 hours, so close to 24 kilometers. And yeah, that's it for the week. So fairly solid 2 weeks of training there, pretty consistent. I do think You know, the fatigue kind of caught up with me by the end of this week just gone, but hey, to be able to do a really big weekend of training, so that week before was 28 hours, and back it up with another about 24-hour week this week, I think is pretty good. So, I mean, yeah, look, I probably could have pushed the run out there to be the full 32 kilometers, but I don't want to risk, you know, sacrificing the consistency that I'm building up at the moment. You know, for the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've had some really good, consistent training. And I think if I can maintain that for a few more weeks, that's when the improvements are really going to start to compound. So really trying to focus on that consistency in my training at the moment, but also a lot of intensity control. I don't want to be pushing too hard, and I don't want to be pushing too easy. And I think a lot of that is just me trying to roll off perceived effort, I think, at the moment. So another good week of training. We'll be back again next week.